I go, hey doc, did you get the study that I gave you? And did you happen to read it? And he's like on his computer. He goes, no, I didn't read it. I'm taking my boards, and if it doesn't come out of the Mayo Clinic up in Rochester, then it doesn't exist to me.
Geoff, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, Dave, thanks for having me on. I found Carnivore a little over 2 years ago now. Um, I had a issue with my left shoulder. I woke up one morning, made a loud crack, and was very, very sore. And I didn't really know why, just one of those things. Um, right here. And it progressively got worse. This would have been September of 22. And after a couple of months, I was in a sling. I went into a orthopedic walk-in here in Wisconsin and found out that I had what was called calcific tendonitis um, in my left shoulder. And for people that don't know what that is, it is a little jelly bean-sized calcium deposit right in the tendons on top of your shoulder joint right here. And they get little razor edges on them when they get big enough. And as you move your shoulder, they sit here and shred your tendons. It was extremely painful, and it just kind of came out of the blue. I didn't really know what had happened. Um, so they gave me a cortisone shot, and that kind of fixed it. And the orthopedic said, you will find out in 3 to 4 months if it got better or it will slowly get worse and you'll have to come in and have a second cortisone shot. If the second cortisone shot doesn't get rid of it, then you will have to have surgery and they physically go in and remove it. And my sister had that surgery on both of her shoulders when she was around 30 years old. And she also had a second operation for frozen shoulder where the scar tissue gets frozen. They have to go in and cut that back open and loosen it back up. So I had kind of made a determination that there was no way I was going to have surgery. I saw what my sister went through and I didn't want to go there. So I started digging around YouTube and typing in like calcific tendonitis cures, home remedies, stuff like that. And started taking like apple cider vinegar. I started changing my diet a little bit. Um, and it had gotten better, but over winter, it slowly got worse. And by February, I had to call the orthopedic and try to schedule my second cortisone shot because I could tell it was deteriorating in the winter with shoveling and just moving around and doing things. And I was kind of bummed because I'm like, well, they only get one more kind of get out of jail free card with that cortisone shot. And I didn't want to go there. So this was February, end of February. I don't remember the exact date, somewhere around the 20th of February of 23. So I call to get my appointment, and of course, the doctor's booked. They couldn't get me in until March 22nd, which is about a month after. That's the earliest appointment he had. So I'm like, oh crap, I don't know if I'm going to make it that long. I was really getting sore at that point. So I really jumped into YouTube at that point. And as I was doing my other research, this Jordan Peterson video just kept coming up the way YouTube works. And it just kept coming up and coming up. And I wouldn't click on it because I'm like, well, it's not talking about calcific tendonitis. It was his Joe Rogan video from 7 or 8 years ago now. And it just kept coming up. So finally one night, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I've been searching for a couple, 3 hours, and I click on the video. I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. And I'm just like blown away at his story on Joe Rogan about him and his daughter Michaela going on this crazy carnivore diet. and all of the things that it cured, and with Michaela. And I'm like, okay, well, that's very interesting. Um, it really piqued my interest. And of course, the next video that pops up on YouTube is Michaela's video on Joe Rogan. So of course, I clicked that and I watched that. And now I was like, okay, this is really, really fascinating, especially when calcific tendonitis is kind of like an arthritis. It's a deposit of calcium that's not supposed to be there. And she had a hip replaced at like 17 or 16 years old and had ankle surgery because she had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And she said all her pain went away and her mental issues went away and all this other stuff and her skin issues and all this. And I'm going, okay, just by getting rid of all the other foods you were eating. And I'm like, okay, so now, of course, I've clicked on 2 carnivore diets. So then a couple more videos come up. And the next video I watch is Dr. Eric Westman. And he was on Metabolic Mind with Dr. Brett Scher. And they were talking about keto and kind of like what he does at Duke University with his practice there. And I watched that video. That one was like an hour long. It was fascinating. Um, and his rule that I adopted out of that was 20 carbs or less a day, period. Not net carbs, just 20 carbs total. And kind of eat when you're hungry and then don't eat if you're not hungry. And so I made a decision on March 1st of 23 that I threw my head in the ring and I had no idea what I was going to do. But I said, I'm going to try this for 30 days because Jordan Peterson said anybody can do anything for 30 days. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this for 30 days and see what happens. So March 1st, I jump in and here I am. And it's the journey has been so amazing and so eye opening that I'm here 2 years and 20 days later. I've lost 42 pounds from my heaviest. I was down to 169 from like 214, something like that, back to my high school weight. And now at this point, I've been able to get back in the weight room and I've actually gained 9 pounds of muscle back, which I just turned 55 last weekend. And for a 55-year-old, gaining 9 pounds of muscle is not too bad. I feel like I'm 20. I have energy like I'm 20. My skin and my complexion, I look a lot younger. I get compliments at work and just being out and about. I've done some Facebook posts and different things of like before and after pictures. And it's been quite a remarkable ride. There's been ups and downs through it, not so much with the diet per se. It's been a pretty easy lifestyle for me because I love red meat and I love steak. Even to this day, I haven't gotten sick of steak after over 2 years. Um, but I've had some injuries and some other things. I just got done with my third round of our favorite illness here that's circled the globe a few times. But I came out of that fine. And, I was down for a week and then I was back in the weight room in a couple weeks and haven't really noticed any difference. So, um, it's been quite an amazing ride, which is why I wanted to come back on and just share some of the stuff that I've gone through with my blood work and with my labs, because my doctor, and it's interesting. We'll tie into this in a little bit about your video you released this morning about the doctors and them not wanting to basically talk about carnivore even though they know about it, because my doctor got himself fired at my physical last week. He just doesn't know it yet. So interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, what has been happening with your blood work? Like, are you causing your doctors to have heart attacks because of your cholesterol or anything like that?
Yeah, something like that for sure. Now, I will say I'm very fortunate that I do have a cardiologist. I've had some arrhythmia issues in the past. And so I do have a cardiologist I see once a year. I've had a Holter monitor and some other stuff. And he has been extremely open to me sending him videos and him learning about lean mass hyper responders, which I am absolutely without a doubt gone into that category or that phenotype that Dave Feldman and Nick Norwitz talk about. My cholesterol is through the roof, but I'm not worried about it. And I'll explain why when I go through the numbers. And I'm happy to just jump in to my NMR numbers first, because I want people to really understand that this is a possibility. There also are videos out there where Dave Feldman, Nick Norwitz, Dr. Budoff, they've done the first keto study, which was a study of 80 lean mass hyper responders and 80 normal presenting patients, all about the same age, same sex, but one of them had really high cholesterol, lean mass hyper responders, and one had a normal baseline, and I want to say it was like 130 LDL, and uh, the other group was like in the 270 range for LDL, average. But they did, that we can throw a link in there, but it's a fascinating study because basically at the end of the day, what it shows is that there is no plaque burden in the high cholesterol group when compared to a normal group. And so it kind of takes that LDL stigma and, the thought of LDL being the cause of heart issues and kind of puts a big wrinkle in that. Bart K, who I've kind of partnered with here with some other stuff, has some really great videos on what causes heart disease. And it really has nothing to do with LDL. And I just encourage people to go search that out. He can explain it in much greater detail than I can. There's a reason why 50% of the population is on, or I should say that 50% of the people that are on a statin still have heart attacks with normal LDL levels. Like, that doesn't make sense if LDL is the cause, right? So, all right. So with that said, we'll go through my NMR chart. I know Dave's going to put it up, but it looks something like this. And this is a fractionation test of the actual lipids in my profile versus just, an LDL, an HDL, and a triglyceride. So that's in here, but this breaks it down even further. So my LDL particle number was off the chart greater than 2,500, and they don't even measure after that. So I just have a little greater than 2,500 on there, which makes sense because I'm 2 years carnivore, I'm a lean mass hyper responder, and I'm fat adapted. So I'm burning fat as my energy source. Therefore, I need more LDL to transport that energy around for my muscles to use. So that number is extremely high. I'm not worried about it. My primary care doctor, different story. Okay. My LDL was the highest it's ever been at a 316. My HDL was good. And that is actually an optimal number at 60. I've had it as high as 82 in some of the other blood works I've had, but it was at 60 at this particular snapshot. Still a good number and still a pattern A number, which is why it's on the left and in the green optimal range. My triglycerides were a 93. That is also normal or optimal. I want to say that my HDL to triglyceride ratio was like a 1.15 or something like that, which is good. They say anything under 2 is good. I'm right down around 1. My total cholesterol when you add everything up is a 395. So highest for me ever. I expected that to happen, especially being my second year on carnivore and knowing I was a lean mass hyper responder. My small, dense LDL particles, these are the ones that create a little more havoc, that can kind of wiggle their way in and create some of the heart disease issue. was a 635, and that is right near optimal on the border of borderline high. It's literally right in the middle. Now, the interesting thing about that is before I had gotten down to a 468, but my total LDL particle number was only a 1547. So when you look at the percentage, my percentage was actually higher before. And now, even though the number's higher, the percentage actually dropped almost 2.5% of my total blood work. So I'm not worried about that number either. My LDL size is at 22.4, which means it's nice and big and fluffy like a beach ball. And if you've listened to Dr. Berry or Dr. Vadia, they talk about the size of the LDL being big and buoyant, right? Versus like a small, dense golf ball. So people that are trying to picture this in their head, picture a big stuff or a beach ball going through your veins versus a small golf ball going through your veins. And I have a ton of big, fluffy LDLs, which is why it's optimal on this chart. Large VLDL particles, I'm at a 1.8, which on the chart is near optimal to optimal. So again, I'm on the A pattern A side, which is where you want to be. My VLDL size is borderline high, but again, I'm transporting a lot more energy around because I'm fat adapted, so I expected that to be higher. LDL particle number is 36.7. That is optimal, the near optimal, or near optimal, the optimal number. I'm just under the optimal number at 36.8. And then my large HDL particle number is a 6.3. So it actually got better from last time. Optimal is 7.3. I'm still a little low, but it's still on the green side. So I'm still pattern A with that. And then my HDL size falls right in between near optimal and borderline high. So overall, I'm happy with this. I will go over this here in a couple of weeks with my cardiologist. But the fact that the majority, if not all of the actual fractionation numbers are on the pattern A side, and the only thing that's on the pattern B side is my total numbers, I'm not worried whatsoever about my cholesterol numbers.
I need to do one of these at some point, but I think the nice thing about having this is it's a lot harder for the doctor to scare you by just saying, "Oh, your LDL, the number's high, the number's high, the number's high." If you can actually get the details.
Correct. And, a year ago when I had this done and I had met with my cardiologist for the first time, I took this chart and I had some other ones on there, one from 2012, and then I did a couple the first year that I was doing Carnivore. And I took this chart in, excuse me, because it was a great visual for my doctor. Because, they're taught, oh, high DL, high LDL, oh my God, you're going to have a heart attack, you're unhealthy. So I charted it out because I was curious, and when I charted it out, all of my numbers got better being on Carnivore, except for the total number. And so I took the chart in, and we had an open discussion about my cholesterol. I told him about my statin issues because I had been on a statin for 10 years and my muscles killed, and I had bad side effects with that. And I told him I'm not ever taking that again. Ever, don't ask me. I'm not doing it. But I did give him the chart. I said, if my cholesterol is so bad, why does the chart say that I'm good? And he couldn't answer it. He couldn't wrap his head around that I'm eating steak, eggs, butter, ribeyes, bacon like crazy, sausage like crazy. I'm not eating any veggies, any fruit, any pasta, any of the things we're told to eat. And yet my blood work went from a pattern B, which if you saw my 2012 numbers, when I was insulin resistant and my doctor put me on a statin to 1 year on carnivore, it was night and day different to the better. Yet I'm doing 100% opposite of what we're all told to do. But the chart doesn't lie. The chart is what it is, right? So I'm going to have a really interesting conversation with him at the end of the month. But to piggyback on your video that you released this morning about the doctors not telling patients really what's going on with carnivore or keto or low carb. I had my physical last week, day after my birthday. And this is a doctor I've had 15 years, 16 years. And he was a little concerned when I went carnivore 2 years ago, but he was kind of amazed that I cured my shoulder without having to have surgery. And so I piqued his interest and I told him, I said, Doc, look, I said, I get this is 100%, 180% not what you were taught going through medical school. I get you're a doctor and I'm not a doctor. I get all that. However, I said, I'm smart enough to be a doctor had I chosen to go do that. I have a meteorology degree. I have a physical education degree with a coaching minor. I have 2 degrees. I had anatomy and physiology and chemistry and biochemistry and all that stuff as part of my um, physical education degree. And so I understand it. I don't understand it at a doctor level, but I understand it and I understand pictures. And, I said, look, I said, you can't deny the results that people have when they do this. And that's one of the things I love about your channel is you now have over 1,000 people where I don't care what a doctor says. I say, go watch Dave's channel and go pick 10 videos. I don't care which ones. And then tell me we're wrong because they can't. They just can't do it at this point. And, so I went back in last week and he was different. He was nervous. He was like fidgety. He knew he couldn't just tell me some line of bullshit and that I wasn't going to take it. And I kind of prepped him because I knew I was going to have my physical and then I knew I was going to have my cardiology appointment. And so the beginning of March, I printed off the keto study. It's an 8-page study with the results of the lean mass hyperresponder trial that Dave Feldman and Nick Norris and Dr. Budoff did. And I printed it off and I gave my primary care doctor a copy and I gave my cardiologist a copy. I drove to their offices and I gave it to them. And I wrote a little note and I just said, I hope that you guys take the time to read this short study. I am a lean mass hyperresponder. I am not your average unhealthy 55-year-old white male in America. I am not that person. So you can't look at my lipid panels and go, oh my gosh, oh my God, he's going to have a heart attack, right? Because I'm metabolically healthy. So I go in. Oh, and I also sent him links on the paperwork to the Dr. Budoff video on YouTube and to a great video by Dr. David Diamond that goes over statins and cholesterol and the different risks and all of that. And I asked them to watch this before my visit. So I go into my primary care doctor and I go, hey, doc, did you get the study that I gave you? And did you happen to read it? And he's like on his computer. He goes, no, I didn't read it. I'm taking my boards, and if it doesn't come out of the Mayo Clinic up in Rochester, then it doesn't exist to me. And I was like, yeah, but I'm sitting right here as one of these people who is a lean mass hyperresponder, and this study is telling you, at least in that study, that there is no plaque burden. That's what the study found. But you're going to tell me that you're not going to listen and you don't care because it's not coming out of the Mayo Clinic. And at that point, he got himself fired. He just doesn't know it yet, but I will not ever go back to that doctor because he clearly doesn't want to learn. He clearly doesn't care that in 2 years I've completely transformed myself um, to the point where I'm not on any medicine. He's not making any money on me. I don't go in because I have a chronic issue or this or that or whatever. So to him, I'm not one of those people on maintenance every month and he's drawing a residual income from some prescription. It would now on the flip side, I haven't seen my cardiologist yet, but we have this thing called My Chart here in the United States where I can literally text my doctor within my medical file. And I texted him and I said, hey, I just want to make sure that you got my study that I dropped off for you. I hope you get a chance to read it and watch these videos before I come in. And he texted me back and he said, I did get the study. I actually read it when it first came out, and you were the first person I thought of. And I was like, that's really cool. I like that doctor because he's actually paying attention. And this is the same cardiologist that I had given my chart to a year before. So I must have piqued his interest somewhat. But to get a response of, hey, I actually thought of you and I did read the study when it first came out versus, yeah, it doesn't exist because it didn't come out of the Mayo Clinic. Like two completely opposite reactions to exactly the same paperwork. So, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to follow my cardiologist, and my PCP can go jump off a bridge or something. I don't really care because he doesn't have my interest in mind, and I will. For the people that watch this, you have to remember that the doctors work for you. You don't work for them. And if they are not serving your interest, you need to fire them. Period. End of discussion. The doctors that are in this space, I've gotten to meet a few of them. We met Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Hampton and Dr. Wiedemann at the meetup that Carrie did from Healing Humanity down in Chicago last month. I've stayed in contact with Dr. Kiltz. We're texting back and forth and doing some stuff. These are the doctors that you need to try to talk to or find one that understands metabolic health and insulin resistance and stuff like that. Because the other doctors, not that they're dumb, it's just that they haven't been taught the correct way on how to heal people because they have no interest in that. You know, so that's like two tales of two completely different doctors um, with the exact same thing that I did, and I'm still here. I still have high cholesterol. I still have a little whatever, but I'm 55 years old. So I'm going to trust the doctor that actually took the time to care about me. And the doctor I've been with for 15 years that basically said I don't exist can go pound sand.
Yeah, I mean, it's so nice to have a doctor who is willing to actually listen to what you're saying. And even if at the end of the day they might say, well, I'm not sure about this, I don't necessarily agree with some of this stuff, or whatever they say, the fact they've listened to you is what's important, right? The fact that they're actually willing to consider that they might not know everything is like the big thing, right?
Yeah. And it's a lot of it too is just being open minded enough to look at the data. Because when I gave him my chart a year ago, that's data. It's factual, it's data. He was open minded enough to look at it and go, boy, that's interesting. Why has your blood gotten better eating opposite of the way that you're told to eat? Why is that happening? I have a feeling he's done some research since then. I've given him a list of cardiologists that are in this space, like Dr. Obadia and Dr. Nadir Ali and Dr. Brett Shear, and Malcolm Kendrick, and some other names where it's like, here, these are all cardiologists. You know, they're your peers. Dr. Ryan Cooley, who's a friend of Brett's here in Wisconsin, who's been on your channel, who is a cardiologist. He specializes in that. I think he's your number 2 or 3 video ever watched on your channel, but he's a cardiologist doing carnivore. So it's just you need to find a doctor that's going to at least be open minded enough to listen to what's going on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the other doctor, the one that's just if it doesn't come out of the Mayo Clinic, it doesn't exist. I mean, he has told you everything you need to know about what kind of doctor he is or not doctor he is, just in that sentence, right?
Yeah, which is why he got fired.
Mm. Yeah,
Period.
because I mean, the way he said that, that you're wasting your time and money going to see him, right?
Correct.
Mm.
Correct. And I'll find another one around here. Um, Even if it takes me a little while, I'm okay with that. I'm not changing my lifestyle anytime soon. I feel too good. I feel like I'm 20. Why would I give that up? I could go down a laundry list of things that I've cured in the last 2 years that I didn't even realize were issues for me. But here I am, and I'm going, holy cow! Like, holy cow, Dave! It's amazing.
The doctors are funny as well. Like they're so sure of themselves, like so sure of this is the way to do it. But if you actually said to them, okay, so how many patients are following your advice and are in as good health as me? Show me some examples. They wouldn't be able to.
Right. Not unless they're doing keto or carnivore, right? And you know, so I did all my labs with my regular doctor. I had to do that for insurance here in Wisconsin. And in the US, I have to get a physical. So I got that done. I did my check mark, you know. Going over some of my other labs, my hemoglobin A1C was a 5.2. So that was fine. Um, my calcium level is right in the middle at a 9.1. My glucose was a 92. My BUN was a 25. It's in the normal range. It's a little high. Not worried about it. My protein or total protein was 6.9, so that was fine. My sodium level was right in the middle at 141. My potassium was right in the middle at 4.4. My chloride was right in the middle at 105. Excuse me. My carbon dioxide was a 29. My albumin was a 4 right in the middle. My bilirubin was a zero point 0.8 right in the middle. My alkaline phosphatase was a 42, which is on the lower end, and not worried about that. My AST, which is a liver enzyme, was good at 16, that you want nice and low. My ALT was right in the middle, another liver enzyme at 36. My creatine was a 1.03, that was good. My EGFR is an 86, and I had no idea what that is. I'm like, well, what the heck is that? Well, that's actually your filtration rate of your kidneys. And so, like, okay, at 86. So I hit the little view trends button. And as I looked at that back in February of 24, I was a 75. And now I'm an 86. So I actually improved my kidney function over the last year, even though when you look at what that really is, that is supposed to trend down as you get older. It is not supposed to go down and then go like that, which is what mine did. So obviously, something's going on with my kidneys for the good, and I'll take that at 55 years old. You know, so that was a nice little bonus as far as my labs go. Um, Being 2 years on carnivore, everything is perfect except for my LDL, which whatever.
Well, and again, like one of the things about like because everyone kind of puts that little kind of caveat at the end. They say everything's perfect except for LDL. But the thing is, our idea of what perfect LDL is based on a sick population. And so is it really is 90 LDL really the optimum level of LDL, so
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, and
Oh,
as you know, there are studies out there that show that as you get older, the higher your number is, the longer you live. And David Diamond talks about that in the video um, that I had sent my doctors, because it's exactly the opposite of what we have been told for the last 50, 60 years since the Ansel Keys report came out that said cholesterol causes heart disease. We've all been lied to on that. There are a lot of other factors. Again, go check out Bart Kay's website and how he describes it. But I say that just because we're used to that, right? But if 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 having high LDL is going to make me live longer, and I'm not insulin resistant, and I don't have metabolic disease, and I'm not obese, and I'm not any of these other things, then shit, I'm in for 400. I don't care, because the studies say people with higher LDLs live longer. It's just a fact. It's just the opposite of what we've been told. So go do that research for yourself, if you question it, but that's what you're going to find if you actually look for it. It's hidden, but you have to find it and look for it. And Dr. David Diamond, Dr. Ken Berry, and some of the other doctors in this space have talked about that multiple times, you know. Um, so one thing, as far as the labs and the health and everything, it's really been fantastic. I created a video on my channel. It was called The Inconvenient Truth About Sugar. And from the last time that we spoke, I had watched a video on Jesse Chappas's uh, podcast, and he had Dr. Zoe Harcum on there. She's from the UK and I think Wales. And it was just like the aha moment that you have where the light bulb goes on and you're like, I get it. I now understand. And what that was for me was that your body, if you're an average person, wants 4 grams of sugar dissolved in its blood at any time. Now, I was never told that. Most people have no idea. And I've asked hundreds of people, how much sugar do you think is dissolved in your blood? Nobody has an answer. That's 4 grams right there. One little sugar cube. Okay. That's what your body wants at any given moment. That's its homeostasis level. And when that light bulb went on in my brain, it then let me understand why carnivore works so well for so many people. See, in my video, I would have this amount of sugar. See that? Just between lunch and dinner. And that didn't include breakfast or snacks or anything else. So if my body wants this and I'm doing this every day, what the hell am I doing? My cells are screaming at me, right? They're screaming, Geoff, what the hell are you doing?
mm,
I want this. Stop giving me this every day, over and over and over and over. Okay, this is 485 grams of sugar. That's one
that's
trip to McDonald's and one trip to Pizza Hut.
that's
Forget
crazy.
breakfast, forget a couple beers at night or sodas during the day or anything else. That's just 2 meals going out here in the US. My body wants this, my mitochondria wants this. I was doing this every day. So when that light bulb went on, I then understood why cutting out carbs completely allows your body to settle down. It allows the inflammation to go away, and then it allows the cells to do what they're designed to do, function without inflammation, without being poisoned to death. It allows your mitochondria to actually function. You don't have the high insulin and all the hormones and all this stuff going on in your body um, that we're not designed to do. And the truth bomb is really this. Okay, your cells don't care what you think. People need to wrap their head around that. Your cells, your mitochondria, your heart cells, your brain cells, whatever, they don't care what you think. They only react to what you do to them. And if that light bulb can go on for you, if you're sitting here watching this video and you're thinking I'm crazy, or you're like, oh, I want to try this carnivore thing, but my doctor this, or my friend's this, or it's not what I've been taught, your cells don't care what you think. They want fatty acids and fat and protein. They don't want sugar. And if your body needs sugar, your liver is going to make it through gluconeogenesis, sorry, to get you right back to the 4 grams that it wants. It just wants to stay there, which is why when I do this, the only thing your body can do is slam a bunch of insulin in it to hurry up and take it out before it kills you. It's like ODing on cocaine, except it's sugar and it's supposedly good for us because that's what we've been told.
You know, one of the most awesome descriptions of the way all this works, or arguments against the mainstream advice that I've heard, is from Carnivore JT. And he was talking about how, you've got all the kind of plant-based advocates out there saying, well, your body's preferred source of fuel is sugar. And we know that because your body uses sugar first before anything else. He says that's a ridiculous argument, because if that's the case, then your body's preferred source of fuel is alcohol, because it uses that first in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually,
Yeah.
any plant-based advocate that says sugar is the most important, or carbohydrate is the most important, is ignoring the fact your body burns alcohol first, and should be saying alcohol is the preferred source of fuel, which we know is ridiculous.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
it's, when you break it down into the electron transfer chain, and Brett Smith can do this, and I'm sure a lot of the other doctors can, they can explain it a lot better than I. There's videos on YouTube about it. But basically, when you flip into burning ketones, it actually is more efficient in the electron transfer chain. It skips a step or two and jumps right here, and then it's smooth sailing, and there's less waste and less byproduct because of the way ketones work. And I'm not going to get into it because I understand it, but I can't explain it like a Dr. Barkay or somebody like that, or Brett Smith can explain it. But ketones are actually preferred by your brain, and they're actually preferred by your heart. And I've heard that from multiple doctors in this space, which makes sense if you're fat adapted and you're burning ketones and you're burning fat, why certain organs function better. It's why Kerry Mann, cured his heart issue. That video will blow your mind right there. Forget everything else. Just watch that one. You know, um, and I work at Lexus. They're built right over there by you. They're beautiful cars. And I try to get everyone to picture an LC 500, which is our performance sports car. It's a track car, goes really fast. It's really awesome to drive. If you put diesel fuel in it, it's not going to burn so well. It'll run, but eventually you'll blow the engine and you'll be going, pup, 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 Your body's no different. Dr. Kiltz did an awesome video on a TED Talk called The Human Ferrari, where he talks kind of a similar thing. But if you can picture that your body is a sports car and it's designed to run on a certain fuel, hence fat, right, versus sugar, or premium versus diesel, you can start to get a better picture of what your body is actually wanting. And when you take out all of the poison and all of the junk and just get out of the way and let your body do what it's designed to do, the proof is in, your 1,000 videos that you've done over the last 2 years, Dave, because each individual has a different story with a different outcome, yet the outcome is all awesome. right? They're different, but awesome. All because they got the shit out of the way and just allowed their body to just go, oh, thank you. Thank you for getting out of the way. Just let me run my program the way that my DNA is set, and I'll take care of the rest. You know, and that's
It's
what,
right. It's like everyone's body has been screaming at them for 40, 50 years. What are you doing to me? Why are you inundating me with this crap? I can't keep up. And then
right,
finally you stop doing it and your body's like, "Ah, okay. Now I can do something."
right. And for most people that you watch, they feel amazing within 30 days. Some of them are even 2 weeks later. It's like really, it's a really fast thing. It doesn't mean that they've healed whatever they're trying to do. I've had things go away after a year, year and a half. All of a sudden, oh my sensitive teeth aren't there anymore. I can actually drink cold water and not get this shooting pain up into my head. I don't sunburn anymore. My neuropathy is gone. I recover from lifting weights faster. My intestines have never felt better. They say, oh, you got to have more fiber. Really? I was eating salads like crazy. I'd fart all day. I'd go to the bathroom 3 times a day, and I would feel bloated and miserable every day. And I just figured, oh, I'm getting older. That's the way it is. Well, 2 years on carnivore, I go to the bathroom once every 2 or 3 days. I have no gas, and I don't even realize I have intestines because they never hurt. They're never bloated. It's like they're not there. And it's a miracle that all that took was getting the fiber out of my intestines. I clearly had some sort of intolerance to fiber. I just didn't realize it. But now that I've been no fiber for 2 years and my intestines feel the way they feel, I'm never going back to that. Why would I want to do that? It was miserable for years and years and years. It was miserable. And now it's fantastic.
Right. Um, so you mentioned your wife before. Has your wife, joined you in doing this?
She has started her own version of low carb. I wouldn't say it's carnivore because she does not like fatty meat. However, she has been doing very well, staying at 20 carbs or under. And I'm really proud of her for doing that. And I keep telling her it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a lifestyle change. It took her a while to jump on board. Um, you know, but I'm happy, and we'll see what happens a year or two from now. But I know she's going in the right direction. Um, I do have, the first video I had said that, I'm at work and people are noticing and people are saying things, but nobody else was doing it at work. Well, now I have four people that have joined me. One's down over 40 pounds, one's down almost 30 pounds, another one's down 32 pounds. Um, and they all tell me they feel amazing. They can't even believe it. I have other friends in my circle. One's down 60 pounds, almost off his blood pressure medicine. Another one's down like 40 some pounds. He's working on getting off his blood pressure medicine. I have other people that are down 50, 60 pounds. If I was to really count them, there's probably 10 or 12 people that have done carnivore or low carb because of me, and I'm happy about that. That's in my friendship group per se, because they're now going, holy shit, I can't believe how good I feel. I can't believe I'm able to get off my blood pressure medicine. I can't believe I'm down 4 pant sizes, right? I mean, 70 pounds. The one guy sent me a picture and I hadn't talked to him in a while. I'm like, dude, is that you? I'm like, I don't believe it. I didn't recognize him. He sent me a side by side. I said, if this is really you, you need to send me a selfie. So he sends me a selfie and I was like, holy crap. Because he didn't tell me he was doing it. He just sent me the picture. I was like, holy cow. I was so happy for him. His wife is ecstatic. He's ecstatic. He feels so much better. He had a bum knee and a bum shoulder, and that's gotten better. It just,
It's
if
awesome,
you're,
and the thing is, like, we can argue all day about the studies, and we say, "This study says this study says that," but at the end of the day, what matters is what your body says, and people's bodies react, right?
Well, they react, and the thing that people need to understand is you have to do this because you want to do it, not because someone else does. I said in my, excuse me, my first video, you know, being successful at carnivore is 90% mental. It's probably 95% mental. It's conquering the little voice in your head that's saying, "Oh, this is okay if I just have this, or it's okay if I have that, or I wonder what they're going to say, or wonder whatever." No, it's the conversation with yourself that you need to have. And if you can conquer that conversation and just get out of the way, your body will take care of itself. So if you're on the fence of trying carnivore, thinking about carnivore, okay, I encourage you to just don't think about it and just do it. 30 days, just do it. You might be surprised. You might be on Dave's show 2 years from now going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I've been here for 2 years." Because I can't. I'll be the first one to, I tell everybody, I go, "Yeah, I cannot believe 2 years into carnivore and I'm not sick of having steak yet. Like, what the heck is wrong with me?" But I'm not sick of it. I'm not sick of ribeyes. I can't explain that. I can't, you know, but
Yeah,
I'm not going to change it.
it's awesome how that works. Your body, you're eating, your body goes, "Oh yeah, we're probably done now," but then the next day, you've never tasted anything better than the same meal you had the day before.
I know. And I still crave it. And I still look forward to it every night when I come home. I'm going to look forward to it a little more as it warms up here. Cause I'm not going to lie, the last 5 months grilling at 0 degrees hasn't been a lot of fun, but it is what it is. I just put a coat on and go do it. But if you're sitting here watching this video and you have some sort of ailment, okay, I want you to picture this bag of sugar, and I want you to picture your cells are screaming at you through neuropathy or being overweight or arthritis or whatever it is that you're suffering from. That's your body's way of telling you to knock it off. I had all these little things going on that was just my body trying to get my attention and, "Hey, dude, stop. Stop with the sugar, stop with the seed oils, just stop." And once you do that, anything is possible. Anything. And if you don't believe me, watch a bunch of Dave's videos. They'll blow your mind. They'll absolutely blow your mind, the stories that you have on here.
Cheers. So, Jeff, how can people get in contact with you, and how can they find your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is just at KM Carnivore. It's kind of on the screen there. That's my YouTube channel. I'm also on X now. I've graduated in the technology world a little bit, and I put myself out there on X. That is again at KM Carnivore. You can contact me through my email. It is kmcarnivore@gmail.com. That is just, through there. I'm also on Facebook under my name, Geoff Sander. And I'm in your group, Dave, the No Carb Facebook group, and a couple other ones on there. I'm also on Kiltz's Mighty Tribe. I know you had Jeffrey Klein on just the other day. I got to not physically meet him, but we've been chatting back and forth through that, through Dr. Kiltz's tribe there. He's got a fantastic story too. Go watch that one. But those would be the best ways to do it. And then, go watch my video on the inconvenient truth. It's not super fancy like some people, because that's just not my thing, but I try to get a picture in your head of what's truly going on inside your body without all of the lingo that these doctors use that nobody can pronounce or remember. Just very basic, what's going on.
Nice. So I'll link to that video and all your socials and email in the show notes. Thanks a lot for coming back on, Geoff, and sharing your story again and giving us an update. I really appreciate your time.
Well, Dave, thanks for having me. And, on behalf of, the 1,000 people that you've had on your channel and everybody else that watches you, please keep doing what you're doing. Um, it really is freaking awesome. It really is. And, I just wish you the best. And I hope you get to 2,000 videos here soon, because you are making a difference. You're one of my heroes. I wish you were closer, in the US somewhere, but maybe someday we'll get a chance to meet at one of these meetups or something if that, happens. So thank you, Dave. I really appreciate coming on. Keep doing what you're doing, my friend.